Friends, in this video we will study about magnetic properties. Magnetic property. So, based on magnetic properties, the substances are classified into the different types. So first, see the example here. So magnetic field is there. So under the influence of magnetic field, so some substances I have kept. So first substance, it is attracted towards magnetic field. Second substance, it is repelled by the magnetic field or deflected by the magnetic field. Then third substance, it is also attracted towards magnetic field. Now see in the second example, there is a no action with the magnetic field by first substance. Then second substance is also there is a no action. Then third substance, it is attracted towards magnetic field. Now the substances which move towards the magnetic field or the substances which are slightly attracted towards magnetic field are called paramagnetic substances. So once more I will repeat, students, the substances which move towards the magnetic field are called paramagnetic substances, or the substances which are slightly attracted towards magnetic field are called paramagnetic substances. Because why they are slightly attracted towards magnetic field? Because there will be presence of unpaired electrons. So there will be presence of unpaired electrons. Then some substances are repelled by the magnetic field, or the substances which move away from the magnetic field are called diamagnetic. Either the substances which repelled by the magnetic field are called diamagnetic substances. Why it is diamagnetic substances? Because there will be completely filled electrons. That's why the substances will repel by the magnetic field. Next one, the substances which are normally attracted towards iron metal are called ferromagnetic. The substances which are normally attracted towards iron metal, so those are ferromagnetic. And ferromagnetic substances are strongly attracted. The ferromagnetic substances are strongly attracted towards magnetic field. Why they are attracted? Why they are strongly attracted means, in this case, the domains. Let us consider domains like electrons only. Okay, the single direction domains are more. In the ferromagnetic substances. That's why these are strongly attracted towards magnetic field. Next one comes anti-ferromagnetic substances. Means exactly opposite to the ferromagnetic substances. Means the equal direction and opposite direction, same direction and opposite direction, equal domains are there. Same direction and opposite direction, equal number of domains are present. That's why the magnetic moment is zero here. They are repelled by the magnetic field. Then ferrimagnetic substances, one more is there, ferrimagnetic substances. So here what happens? The same directions are more compared to the opposite direction domains. Same direction domains are more compared to opposite direction domains. That's why these are slightly attracted towards magnetic field. Ferrimagnetic substance. Now, magnetic properties of d block elements. So already we know that it is due to presence of electrons in the d orbital. So magnetic properties depends upon the presence of electrons in d orbital. So every electron has two types of motions. Already we know. One is spin motion and one more is orbital motion. So here we are not considering the orbital motion. So only in case of d block elements we are considering spin motion. We are not considering here orbital motion in d block elements. So d orbital motion is we are not considered, only spin motion we have considered. So orbital motion we are taking it as a zero. Then the magnetic moment of d block elements, that is a spin motion, we have to calculate using the formula. Spin magnetic moment or magnetic moment mu is equal to root of n plus 2. That is in Bohr magnetons. So where n is total number of unpaired electrons in d orbital. That is small n. So once more the formula is to calculate the magnetic moment is mu is equal to root of n plus 2. So this formula you remember, students, it is important for 2 marks and even for competitive base. Now once more we will see the definitions. Paramagnetic substances. The substances have at least one unpaired electron and have attracted towards magnetic field, slightly attracted towards magnetic field and have the unpaired electrons. Take the example titanium plus 3, vanadium plus 2, iron plus 2. So these are paramagnetic substances. Then diamagnetic substances means they are repelled by the magnetic field. There will be completely filled electrons. So take an example, scandium plus 3, titanium plus 4, zinc plus 2, copper plus. Ferromagnetic substances which are strongly attracted towards magnetic field and they are attracted towards iron. That's why these are called ferromagnetic substances. So this is a special category of substances and are strongly attracted towards magnetic field. It is mainly observed ferromagnetic, means they are attracted towards iron also. So here equal and opposite direction domains will be there in a ferro, and antiferromagnetic substances. So in ferromagnetic substances, same direction domains are more. In ferromagnetic substances, same direction domains are more. Due to that same direction domains, these substances are strongly attracted towards magnetic field. So due to the same direction domains are more, that's why the ferromagnetic substances are strongly attracted towards magnetic field. See, so already we have studied about the magnetic moment. So even we have studied about how to calculate the magnetic moment. That is a formula, mu is equal to root of nn plus 2. So just we'll move with the problem. So first problem, calculate the magnetic moment of divalent ion in aqueous solution if its atomic number is 24. Now students, we know that atomic number 24 is nothing but chromium. Atomic number 24 is nothing but chromium. So chromium atomic electronic configuration. So chromium atom is there. So chromium atom atomic number is 24. Now electronic configuration of chromium is argon 18 3d5 4s1. Argon 18 3d5 4s1. Now they have told that here in the question itself they have mentioned it is a divalent ion. Divalent ion means, so it is a d block element, then it is having plus 2 charge. So plus 2 as the oxidation state. Then if you write the electronic configuration for plus 2 oxidation state, then you have to remove the electron. Then one electron from 4s and one electron from 3d. Then it becomes 3d4. So metal plus 2 oxidation state, then electronic configuration is argon 18 3d4. Then if you draw the orbitals, 5 orbitals, then if you fill the electrons according to the Hund's rule, so you will get 4 unpaired electrons. That's why n is equal to 4 here. You will get 4 unpaired electrons. Then put the formula, the spin only magnetic moment mu is equal to root of n plus 2 in Bohr magneton. So already we know n is equal to 4. So n is equal to 4 means root of 4 into 4 plus 2. Then you will get, that is 4 plus 2 is 6, 6 into 4 is 24, root of 24 is nothing but 4.90 in Bohr magneton it is. So magnetic moment of chromium plus 2 is 4.90 Bohr magneton. Next one, calculate the magnetic moment of divalent ion in aqueous solution if its atomic number is 30. Calculate the magnetic moment of divalent ion in aqueous solution if its atomic number is 30. So we know that atomic number 30 is nothing but zinc. Atomic number 30 is nothing but zinc. Again they have mentioned divalent ion. So first zinc atomic number is 30. Write the electronic configuration, argon 18 3d10 4s2. Now divalent ion means it is zinc plus 2. Zinc plus 2 electronic configuration, then remove the 2 electrons from 4s. Then the electronic configuration becomes argon 18 3d10. Then draw the orbitals, then fill the electron according to Hund's rule. Then you will get n is equal to 0. The number of unpaired electrons are 0 because all completely filled it is. Unpaired electrons 0, n is equal to 0. Then the formula is spin only magnetic moment mu is equal to root of n plus 2. So n is equal to 0. Then mu is equal to 0. Mu is equal to 0 or magnetic moment is equal to 0. So it is nothing but, if magnetic moment is 0, then we will call it as diamagnetic substance. Now see, in detail, in only one table, we will get all the magnetic moments. If the unpaired electrons are 0, then the magnetic moment will be 0. If the unpaired electrons are 1, remember students, these for all the d block elements depends upon unpaired electrons. If unpaired electrons are 1, then the magnetic moment is 1.73. If the magnetic moment is 2.84, then there will be presence of 2 unpaired electrons. If the 3 unpaired electrons are present, then 3.87. If 4 unpaired electrons are present, then 4.90. If the 5 unpaired electrons are present, then 5.92 is a magnetic moment. Again, 4 unpaired electron means again it is same 4 means 4.90, 3 means 3.87, 2 unpaired electron means 2.84, 1 unpaired electron means 1.73, and 0 means it is nothing but magnetic moment is 0. So first we have to get here how many unpaired electrons are present. Using this unpaired electron, so we can easily calculate the magnetic moment. So scandium plus 3 here and zinc plus 2 is diamagnetic because magnetic moment is 0. Even manganese plus 2 is have a highest magnetic moment, that is a 5.92 because 5 unpaired electrons are present. So highest magnetic moment is for Mn plus 2 because 5 unpaired electrons will be there. So that is the magnetic moment is 5.92 both magneton. Now the next concept is interstitial compounds and alloy formation. So two concepts we are studying here. One is interstitial compounds and one more is alloy formation. Now students, interstitial compounds. So in the interstitial compounds, nothing but the small atoms like hydrogen, boron, carbon, nitrogen are trapped in the interstitial space. Means what? The interstitial compounds are those which are formed when the small atoms like hydrogen, carbon or nitrogen are trapped inside the interstitial space in the crystal lattice of metals. Now d block elements are nothing but metals. So whatever the crystal structure is there, the metal crystal structure, in that there will be interstitial space. In that space, hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, boron atoms are trapped. Whatever the new form we are getting, those compounds we will call it as interstitial compound. You can see the structure here. It is a crystal lattice of a metal. In this crystal lattice, you can see here interstitial spaces. So these are interstitial space. So here a small atoms like carbon, hydrogen, boron are trapped. Now see transition metals. Now yellow color, whatever the atoms are there, they are trapped atoms. Now whatever this whole compound now we are getting, this compound we will call it as interstitial compound. Then what are the important characteristics of interstitial compounds? Now first one, take an example of steel. So steel is made up with iron and carbon. Is quite hard and they are very hard and rigid. So steel is hard and rigid. Then second one, they are having high melting point compared to pure metal. Now consider steel. Steel is made up with iron and carbon. If you compare steel melting point and iron melting point, so steel melting point will be higher than iron. Next one, they show conductivity like that of the pure metal. Steel also shows the conductivity like iron. They are chemically inert. So interstitial compounds are chemically inert. Now once more I will just define the interstitial compound. The small atoms of these elements, which elements? Carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, boron, etc. occupy the vacant spaces or interstices in the lattice of transition metals, resulting in the formation of interstitial compound. Or easy to define, the small atoms like carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, boron are trapped in the crystal lattice of metal. Whatever the new compound is obtained, that is called interstitial compound. Take an example, hydrogen, if trapped, then you will get the interstitial compound. If carbon is trapped, then interstitial compound you will get. Now you can see the example here, titanium and carbon, titanium and hydrogen, manganese and nitrogen, iron and hydrogen, vanadium and hydrogen, zirconium and hydrogen. So hydrogen, small atoms are trapped in the transition metal crystal lattice. So these compounds have variable and non-stoichiometric composition. Hence formula given, do not have any normal oxidation state of the metal. So in the interstitial compounds, metal, whatever the metal is there, which do not have any normal oxidation state. And some of the properties. So their chemical properties are same as that of the parent metal. The chemical properties whatever are there, it is same like a pure metal, means steel is having same chemical property like iron. Then second point, these interstitial compounds are hard and show electrical and thermal conductivity. Next one, they have high melting points, higher than the pure metals, as metal non-metal bonds are stronger than metal bonds in pure metals. Now see, pure metal and steel, now iron and steel if you compare, now what happens, in iron only metal metal bond will be there, but in steel what happens, iron and non-metal will come, the small atoms, so that bond is stronger, so to break that bond it need higher energy. That's why the interstitial compounds are having high melting points. Next one, their densities are less than parent metal. So if you compare the density of interstitial compounds and parent metal, so the density of interstitial compounds is more, sorry, parent metal is more compared to what, interstitial compound. Densities of pure metal is more, pure metal is more, interstitial compound are having less densities. Then hydrides of transition metals are used as a powerful reducing agents. So hydrides, there will be presence of hydrogen, that's why what happens, these are used as a reducing agents. Then the metallic carbides are chemically inert, the metallic carbides are chemically inert and externally hard as diamond. So whatever the metal carbides they will form, means when they combine with the carbon or carbons are trapped in the crystal lattice, the metal carbides will form. Those metal carbides are chemically inert and externally hard as diamond. Now formation of alloys. So in the formation of alloys, alloys are homogeneous solids or solid solutions. So here what happens, two or more metals obtained by melting the components and then cooling the melt. So once more I will repeat students, alloys are homogeneous solid solutions of two or more metals obtained by melting the components and then cooling the melt. Means what, in interstitial compounds small atoms are trapped, but here what happens, some other metal can replace the lattice point metal or lattice point particle. So one metal is there already in a crystal lattice, so one more metal can come to the position or the particular lattice point and it can replace it. So whatever the new compound is obtained, that is called alloy. So once more I will repeat, alloys are the homogeneous solid solutions of two or more metals obtained by melting the components and then cooling the melt. See here, this is a crystal lattice structure. So in this crystal lattice structure, now some of the metals are replaced, some of the metals are replaced by another metal. Now whatever the new compound is formed, that is called alloy, that is called. Now large number of alloys are formed by transition metals because their atoms mutually substitute their positions easily in their crystal lattice, because the size of the metals almost same, metallic radii will be same, so that will be within the limit, that is about 15%. If it is more than 15%, the metal cannot substitute into crystal lattice and it cannot form alloy. Now the properties of alloys are, they are relatively hard, the alloys are relatively hard, then possesses high melting points, then more corrosion resistance and than pure metal. Okay, now if you compare the pure metal, iron, you compare iron, if it is mixed with any other metal, iron with manganese, then it is nothing but a steel. If you compare the corrosion with steel and iron, iron is easily get rusted compared to the steel. Now once more I will repeat, so large number of alloys are formed by transition metals because their atoms mutually substitute their positions easily in the crystal lattice. So this is because alloys are formed by atoms only when the metallic radii are within the limit of about 15% of each other. So some of the characteristics of alloy is, they are relatively hard, again same like interstitial compounds, the alloys are also hard, and they possesses high melting points, same like interstitial compounds, alloys are also having high melting points, then the corrosion resistance than pure metal. Then other than this, some examples of alloy. Now various types of steel you can take. Now steel, if it is made up with the carbon, means iron and carbon is trapped in the iron crystal lattice, then it is called interstitial compound. If iron is mixed with the chromium, then it is called alloy. Iron is mixed with the manganese, then it is also called alloy. Iron is mixed with the nickel, then it is also called alloy. So it is also steel only. So steel may form with iron and chromium, iron and manganese, iron and nickel. If iron and carbon is there, then it is interstitial compound. Only difference is in alloy, what happens? Non-metals are trapped, but in alloy, the metals are replaced. Only metal bonds will be there. So you can take example, brass, copper and zinc. Copper and zinc is nothing but a brass, and bronze, copper and tin or copper and stannous.